Next, one man's effort to turn prisoners' lives around, just as he did his own. Jeffrey Brown has our report.
You may see me wearing a blue suit or blue pants and a blue shirt right now, but the reality is that my journey began inside of a jail cell just like this 26 years ago.
Michael Santos is back behind bars.
I feel a real kinship with every guy in this room.
But this time, it's his choice. Santos was just 23 when he was convicted of trafficking cocaine in 1987. His operation was big enough to draw a 45-year sentence. And with credit given for good behavior, he served 26 years in federal prisons.
You can become the best in the world.
Now he's telling inmates his personal story of transformation.
The vision that I always had, that I would be able to come back to society, put on a suit and tie, and have nobody know that I ever served a day in prison. And that's the vision that I want to instill in every man in this room.
Santos had support from his family, but he also had an inner drive that's apparent to this day.
Here's you as a very young man.
Yes, I'm 23 years old, locked inside of the Pierce County Jail.
From the moment he arrived in prison, he began preparing himself for the day he'd be released, even if it was decades away. He read books on philosophy, history, and law.
That's George Cole from the University of Connecticut.
He reached out to leading scholars of criminal justice at places like Stanford and Princeton, some of whom were impressed enough to become mentors.
And this is graduation day.
Yes, that was the
Inside.
day I earned.
Over the years, Santos earned undergraduate and master's degrees and wrote 7 books about the criminal justice system, all from inside prison walls.
My main thing, my main message, you've got to be able to say, I make 100% commitment to rejecting the criminal lifestyle. I make 100% commitment to preparing for success upon release.
Now, just 6 months after his release, Santos was imploring others to follow his lead to a life after prison.
I would think that, in one way, the last place you'd want to go is back to prison, to, back behind those doors.
And I had opportunities to just completely walk away from my past and take jobs with some sponsors who ran successful businesses, but I have a role and a duty to show others how to prepare, how to come back strong. I have a duty to work to help the formerly incarcerated transition into the labor market.
And Santos has a larger message as well to the rest of us, that the criminal justice system is broken.
This is a national disgrace, our commitment to mass incarceration. I believe it's the greatest social injustice of our time. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity.
With the kind of energy that comes from a man making up for lost years, Santos is wasting no time. A Silicon Valley executive impressed by Santos's work invited him to speak at an annual conference.
We may call it a system of corrections, but in reality, it is a system that warehouses humanity.
Santos told the group he believes prisons are filled with repeat offenders because jail time teaches inmates how to live on the inside, not the outside.
It is a fundamentally flawed system. It is a fundamentally flawed system because it is fundamentally different from what makes Silicon Valley great. You look at failure and you figure out a better way of doing it.
Rather than looking at how many calendar pages turn to measure justice, we should look at how hard an individual works to reconcile with society and to become one as a law-abiding citizen. We should take the same approach that has led to success in so many other areas of our society, which is encouraging individuals to pursue excellence.
And what would that take?
Well, frankly, I would talk about the way that we measure justice. We should have a system that encourages and incentivizes people to work to earn the trust and the respect of their fellow citizens.
Right, but they're there for, part of the idea is punishment, right? To take away some of the freedom.
So yeah, that's part of the idea. The question is how much punishment is necessary? There comes a time where there is a depreciated value system of this punishment, but the punishment wears off because prison becomes home.
We join Michael Santos at the Five Keys Charter School located inside San Francisco's county jail. Here, inmates have an opportunity to earn a high school degree, set long-term goals, and listen to inspirational guest speakers like Michael Santos himself.
How do you conquer those feelings of being hopeless And what can I do when people tell me I can't?
I think the first step is to quit identifying yourself as a convict. You can start reverse engineering. If I know where I have to be in 10 years, where do I have to be in 5 years? Where do I have to be in 3 years? Where do I have to be in 1 year?
We need you. Do you mind?
Steve Good is the executive director of the Five Keys School.
Michael Santos is a great example of somebody who took advantage of an opportunity that he had while he was incarcerated. Those opportunities are few and far between, and programs like Five Keys in the San Francisco jail is really the exception, not the rule.
So, Junior, I need you to see yourself working.
Inmates like Junior Leapaga and Maurice Boyland, who've spent years off and on behind bars, told us they were inspired by Santos to turn their lives around, but their experiences also illustrate how hard it will be.
Usually when I get out of jail or institutions, I have the best intentions to do good while I'm doing the time. And as soon as I hit the streets and put on my jail regular clothes, it's a birthday for me. I'm there to celebrate, and that's what leads me the wrong path.
Yeah, I've been always halfway in and halfway out. I've never been fully committed, which always stopped me from achieving my goals.
And who are these 53 different criminal justice systems?
And Santos is getting his message out in other ways as well. He's also a lecturer at San Francisco State University, teaching a course called The Architecture of Incarceration. In just its second semester, it's become hugely popular with criminal justice majors, some squeezing onto empty floor spaces.
I read your life story, and you're an impressive individual. But what about the thousands or even millions of others out there? What makes you think that they could do what you've done?
I think the biggest problem in our criminal justice system is that we don't set goals high enough. In fact, when I was in prison and a guard would see me and he'd say, "It doesn't look right, you don't fit the profile." I said, "Isn't that ironic? You're a correctional officer, but when you see somebody who comes back whole, you wonder what went wrong, rather than saying, what are we doing right?" Mm-hmm. And we need to send a message that people in prison can come back whole. I believe absolutely that any individual can do it if we can change the narrative.
Yes,
the San Francisco County inmates we talked to were certainly ready for that, even knowing the tough odds of changing institutions and themselves.